Hi, welcome to Bari Nation, where we support the bariatric community with humor, humility, and honesty.
You've just tuned into a podcast that welcomes you into a community, a resource center, and a safe place that powers your journey towards personal wellness.
Our goal is you leave us today feeling hopeful, inspired, and ready to live your best bariatric life.
Hey, Bari Nation, it's April. If you are feeling a little lost, alone, maybe a little scared or worried about an upcoming bariatric procedure, or if you're 6 months post-op and things are starting to shift and get a little bit more difficult, we understand what that feels like. It's why we created the Bari Nation membership community. It's our own app where you can connect with experts in real time almost every single day to ask your questions, get answers in real time, and connect with fellow patients who understand what it means to do the work of weight loss surgery. Join us today in the amazing Bari Nation community by visiting barination.mn.co. Invest in yourself and invest in your health.
Well, hello, Bari Nation. Today, I am thrilled to be interviewing somebody that I've known for a while personally, but this is the first time he's joining us on the podcast, Dr. Joe Greene. Hello.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to talk to you. You and I really connected over our love of Peloton, right? And I purposely am recording this in the room where one of my bikes is at. But you are right. I know, like Peloton is just it has a big following and a lot of meaning for both of us in our lives. Movement has been something that you absolutely champion each and every day. You talk about it often. You are living the movement life. But I know as a formerly super morbidly obese person, movement was not something that was always really accessible to me and a lot of patients in the bariatric community. So what I am hoping to learn from you today is how did you yourself fall in love with movement, and how do you encourage and inspire and motivate your patients who maybe have not been mobile for a big portion of their life to become active?
I've always been a mover. I ran cross country and track in high school. I rode in college. I was briefly on the DC triathlon circuit when I was in residency. And so that's where I kind of got this love of running, swimming, biking, and had to also start to incorporate resistance training. The Peloton thing kind of came about as a byproduct of the pandemic. A lot of people, we were kind of stuck indoors, and my wife said, we're getting a Peloton or we're getting a divorce. And I said, all right, honey, let's get a Peloton. And it's actually been, I swear, as a disclaimer, I don't work for Peloton or get anything from them, but I've really found it as a wonderful outlet for me personally to move. It allows me cardiovascular fitness, resistance training. They have meditation on Peloton, which isn't movement per se, but it's all part of this mind-body wellness that I think ties back into movement. Like I said, I don't get anything from Peloton for saying it. It's been a wonderful platform for me to engage in for my mind-body wellness. And I think that's really part of why movement for me is so important, because it helps to balance my mind and my body in my healthy lifestyle.
And you are extremely busy being a bariatric surgeon. You just really opened up a brand new practice. So I know that you have a lot on your plate, as well as being husband and just a very busy human being. So when you are working with your bariatric patients and you notice, or they share with you, that maybe they're reluctant or hesitant or scared to start moving because of their current size or shape, how do you get them from thinking, oh, I can't do this, to, oh, maybe I can start to move?
But again, it starts with the mind, right? And being able to believe that we can, and making incremental steps towards that. It's one of the reasons that we start to encourage low impact exercises. Another shameless plug for Peloton. Cycling is a wonderful activity for people that suffer from obesity and that have osteoarthritis, for example, in their knees or their hips, because when we're cycling, one, we're sitting down in a saddle, as opposed to when we're walking or running, where your knees are feeling the impact of every step we take. When we sit on a saddle, the weight is taken off of our knees, and so our feet are free to move in a circle and spin. So it's low impact exercise compared to running or jumping or step aerobics. I also really encourage swimming, because the water helps us to be buoyant, right? It takes the weight off of our joints again also. And we flutter our legs in the water, so we're not impacting on anything with stress on our joints. Ellipticals are a great kind of intermediary. They're still low impact because your feet are moving in a circle, but the the weight of the body is on our knees. And so trying to find low impact exercises is kind of where I start. For people that have limited mobility, chair exercises are a wonderful option. We can use some gyms have an arm bicycle that you pedal with your arms. And if you can do it for 10 minutes, you're in better shape than I am because it's really hard. But also lifting light weights, low weight and high repetition exercises, whether it's shoulder presses or dumbbell press in the front. So we can do things without moving our legs necessarily to get resistance training as well as cardiovascular fitness, which we seek to get a healthy balance of.
We're actually right in the middle of a resistance and strength training movement challenge in Barry Nation. And what's been so, right? And it's been amazing because people of all kind of levels, as long as they've been cleared, right, by their doctor to participate, are finding new ways to move because they are modifying the workout. So like one of the plans is a body weight plan, but the expert that's leading it is being able to offer kind of these one-on-one modifications so that no matter kind of where we're at when it comes to our mobility, we can access movement that we are inspired to do.
And it's got to be fun. What's the best exercise? The best exercise is the one that you enjoy doing, because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it.
Yes.
So finding something fun. I enjoy listening to music while I spin my legs. And so that's why I gravitated towards Peloton. Some people love, cross-country skiing, and there's those trainers that do that kind of thing. So whatever exercise you enjoy doing, whether it's jazzercise or Zumba, it's got to be fun and enjoyable. It's got to be engaging. And that's part of the enjoyment of it, is finding something that we can all, again, it's good for us to get that sweat out. It cleans our pores. It kind of helps us shrug off the stress of a day. And we also get a little boost of endorphins. Cardiovascular fitness has been shown to help with mental health care and well-being, part and parcel because of some of the hormones and the endorphins that are released when we exercise. So it actually gives us a little pep in our step too.
And one of my biggest aha moments that has occurred during my bariatric journey was that if I sit around and I wait for like motivation or willpower to kind of push me towards movement, there's going to be more days than not that I'm just doing nothing. But when I really focus on movement and I just do it, I commit to 5 minutes or 10 minutes a day, that actually builds my motivation and my willpower to continue to move later that day or the next day. So if you're listening to this and you're just thinking, man, I'm just having a really hard time, like just doing it, I think we would both encourage you to go for a 5-minute walk, do something that is accessible to you, because that action will actually create the motivation and the willpower for you to keep moving.
It definitely does. And there's two parts of that, right? The first part is I tell people, if you're going to try something for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, put the first 5 minutes in. And if you really feel awful, then stop. But oftentimes the hardest step is the first step. And once we start doing something, we'll tend to continue going through it to meet our goal, whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. The other part of that is I've never met anyone ever in my career as a physician or in sports or in life that got to the end of a workout with a good sweat, that little glistening skin, out of breath, and said, man, I wish I spent that time sitting on the sofa. You'll never, ever feel bad at the end of a movement session. And so that's the other part of it, is kind of keeping our eyes on the prize and the long-term goal, that you're always, always going to feel good looking in hindsight at what you just did for your body.
Yep, absolutely. I really do feel the exact same way. And I have had a lot of fun experimenting with different types of movement. And every time I finish any type of like workout session or yoga class, I'm always feeling better than when I started. And the other thing that I want to make sure I guess call out for everybody listening and watching, if you are being called to move, but you are scared or you're nervous, or you would love to start cycling, but you're worried about, doing a bike like this, know that there are tools and equipment out there that can meet you where you are at. So maybe a Peloton style bike is not going to be the right fit for you right now, but a recumbent bike, or like what Dr. Greene said, right? The hand bike can be a place that you start. Reach out to your bariatric surgeon. You can reach out to myself, to Dr. Joe, or to Dr. Greene here. And we'd be happy to just kind of offer you that encouragement that you might need, because we know how scary it can be. We were beginners at movement too at one point in our lives.
We all had to start somewhere. And I think, we're kind of talking a lot about preoperative movement and how do we start moving before surgery, because it does get easier to move as we begin to lose weight. So post-surgical movement is going to get easier as after we have our surgery and we lose our weight. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't start beforehand. And just to bring a little bit of science, a little bit of data into this, preoperative immobility is associated with a higher complication rate, with longer lengths of stay and increased complications. So preoperative movement actually helps people to sail through their surgery easier. It's this new field of medicine called prehabilitation, right? Not like rehabilitation afterwards. Prehabilitation, and the data has been well vetted in colorectal surgery and in geriatric surgery and orthopedic surgery and in cardiovascular surgery. We're still kind of collecting data for the bariatric space, but suffice it to say that when someone has major abdominal surgery, if they are in a better level of both physical conditioning as well as pulmonary conditioning, we encourage our patients to practice their deep breathing exercises to make your chest wall muscles stronger and your diaphragm muscles stronger. They do better under anesthesia. They come out of anesthesia better. They breathe better after surgery, lower risks of pneumonias. All those things kind of tie together. So while it may be hard to start pre-surgery, the benefits are so great when it comes time for surgery.
Okay, you just absolutely blew my mind. I mean, I knew that it was important, but to have that research behind it, oh my gosh, that gives an entire new meaning to the importance of movement before surgery as after surgery. Okay, we are going to keep this conversation going in the bonus episode of the Bari Nation podcast. So if you are a supporter of this show, or if you're a member of the community, you're going to get access to that conversation. And now I have 8,000 questions that are floating around up here. So that's going to be an excellent one. Dr. Joe, let's do it. Where can people follow you if they'd like to connect with you?
I'm Dr. Joe Greene on Instagram. You can look up my YouTube channel as well. It's my full name, Joseph Greene, MD, MBA. So there's some more videos about surgery on my YouTube channel. I've got a pretty active Facebook page as well. And if you do happen to be on Peloton, my Peloton handle is also Dr. Joe Greene. It's the same as my Instagram handle. And that's where our hashtag, the Greene's Machines, came from, our fitness team. So if you see that trending on Instagram, it's also a Peloton hashtag. You can join up as well and support our movement team, because that's really kind of about how we support one another in this ongoing weight loss journey.
Oh, and we'll make sure that all of these things are linked in the show notes. So if you would like to connect with Dr. Greene, follow him on all those platforms. They're going to be linked right down below. Dr. Greene, thank you so much for joining us today. This was an awesome conversation.
You're so welcome. It's my pleasure.
Just 4 years ago, I joined April and Jason on what was then the East to West WLS podcast. I loved their passion to close the gap between bariatric patients and experts in the field. Today, as the Bari Nation podcast, we've recorded over 200 episodes and interviewed countless medical and mental health professionals and patients to help bring the bariatric world together. As a listener of Bari Nation, you've supported and directed this podcast. From giving feedback and asking questions, your voice has helped us create the podcast we know and love. If you enjoy our episodes and want more, your financial support can help make a difference. By joining our Patreon, you help us keep the content coming and improve the quality of our show. Head to barinationpodcast.com to become a Patreon supporter today. Thank you for being a part of our podcast.
That wraps up another empowering episode of the Bari Nation podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, keep the conversation going by joining the Bari Nation membership community, where you can attend live support events, access on-demand resources, and find a caring community.
Join us at barination.mn.co. If you found this podcast valuable, help us produce it by becoming a $5 monthly supporter at barinationpodcast.com.
And just remember, at the end of the day, you've got this, we've got you, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.